start, I just wanted to say a word about our colleagues on the picket line outside who are members of the graduate, or hoping to be members of the Graduate Workers Union and getting recognition from Columbia. We were, I think, like many of us, I was caught this morning between obligation and solidarity. But I did say that I think we'd all be articulating here our support for organised workers and for their right to protest and be heard and be recognised, because that's actually a very important part of what we'll be talking about today. This has only been going for 3 years, but it is always a very closely followed event in the calendar of people who care about freedom of expression and online freedoms. It is the work of Rebecca MacKinnon and her team at Ranking Digital Rights. Rebecca needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway. She is, as many of you know, I like to call her a lifelong journalist because that's how I think of her, but also a scholar and thought leader. She started, she was one of the founders of Global Voices Network, which was just an incredibly important intervention in how we think about journalism in undercovered markets and how we enable people on the ground there. As I say, this is her third year of producing this amazing piece of work. I did say to Rebecca, how is everything else going? And she said, there is nothing else. And in a minute, Rebecca will talk us through the main findings. And then immediately after that, we have two really fantastic discussants from, if you like, sort of, I think both broadly and, well, very much in sympathy with the aims of the report, but also from different sides of the fence. So Anil Dash, to my immediate left, who it's just slightly odd for me to be sitting next to somebody I normally only ever see on Twitter, but who does actually exist in the real world. It's slightly unsettling for me. Anil has a background in both software development, but also is a great thinker and advocate for the idea of free expression online, and his company currently supports a platform called Glitch, which is all about free expression in the real world. So he comes from the perspective of being a company trying to do the right thing, both domestically and internationally. And then next to him is Ellery Biddle. Welcome, Ellery, who's done really fantastic things with her wet hair this morning. She is the director of Advox, which again, sorry, it's just Rebecca and I were slightly envious of the fact she sort of was able to not look like she'd been in a rainstorm. And Ellery is the director of Advox, which again is another great organization, which is and Global Voices, which is, as I say, sort of carrying the baton from the days of Rebecca and Ethan Zuckerman founding it, and also providing just incredibly important support on the ground, but also an incredibly important feed of information for those of us who are monitoring what it really means to be a journalist or be a commentator on the ground in what are increasingly difficult circumstances. So without more ado, I'm going to hand over to Rebecca, who is going to talk us through the findings. Make notes of questions that you might have, and we will, as I say, discuss those among us, and we want to bring you into the conversation as soon as possible. Rebecca.
Thanks so much, Emily, and thanks to all of you for being here. And again, we apologize. It had been our understanding that the picket line for the strike was not extending to this area, which is not on the main campus. And we have tremendous sympathy and support for the cause of the striking graduate students and their desire to have a union, and we hope that the university will do the right thing. Before I start, I actually have a very long list of thank yous. I'm going to save most of them to the end, sort of like a movie credit roll, because I was criticized last year for spending too long thanking before I got to the point. But I do have two thank yous I do need to say at the beginning. One is Agnes Calamar, and Holly Johnson of the Columbia Global Freedom of Expression Initiative, who welcomed us here to, and thank you so much, to kick off our 2018 Ranking Digital Rights Corporate Accountability Index at the beginning of this conference and gathering of extraordinary activists and leaders and scholars in the freedom of expression space. It's a real privilege to be able to join your conference, and I thank you so much. Also, I thank Jolie McPhee of the Internet Society and the Internet Society for doing the podcast, for doing the webcast. This is being live streamed around the world, and so there are people watching and hopefully reacting on Twitter, and we'll be able to get people's reactions. So hello world out there, and thank you to the Internet Society for live streaming this event, and for all the live streaming that the Internet Society does of events related to the internet around the world. It's really an essential service. And I'm going to embarrass my team later by thanking them all by name, but I'm going to start getting into the substance so that you will admire their work all the more when I thank them by name later, because you will have seen what the fruits of their labor have been. So, I'll just get my clicker here. So what is this about? There's been a lot of talk lately, a lot of attention given to the clash of government power